Alrighty, guys. What's up? We got episode 2 ready to fucking rock and roll. Today we're going to be going over 2 chapters. Last episode went over 1. This episode 2. First one we'll go over talks about trauma self and true self, kind of what that means. And then the next one is how to develop a fearless vision, which I really like. And I hope you guys do too. Man, but before I start, let's see. Let me give you a little recap about what I'm up to. Yesterday I hit an open mic in Provo, a clean one, and dude, I fucking hate clean comedy. Sorry, it sucks. It's not funny at all. I'm like, if you could just add the word fuck, so many of those jokes that I heard would have been 10 times funnier. But maybe that's just my opinion. But if you're thinking about starting and you haven't yet, that's a good place to start. I had a homie start. Shout out Truman. I didn't get to see his set 'cause I dipped early, but I heard he did fucking great and he really enjoyed it. So good job, homie. I think it'd be so sick if we start a fucking wave down here. We get a lot of people doing open mics and we put each other on and we're bouncing ideas off each other. Like, that sounds so exciting and so fun to me. So here's my push to everybody that wants to do it. Kicking the back, kicking the ass. But I don't know, man. I did like going to that place at first because it is a cool environment. But like, it's so weird. Like, when people come up and talk to me, they're talking to me about Mormon shit, which is fine, but I'm not Mormon, and it's like, it's so uncomfortable for me to be like, you know, trying to act like I give a shit, or like, you know, even talking about my mission or going to BYU. Like, I know I did those things, but it just feels like my old me. I don't know. So yesterday when I was doing my set, I was like kind of tripped up. I was overthinking it, I guess. And that's definitely one thing you can't do when you go up on stage. You can't overthink it. You just gotta go for it. Gotta be in the moment, which is a challenge, but it makes it so fucking fun. Today, gonna head up to Wise Guys. That's a fucking great venue. That is fun as shit. I love that place. And today's more of a low key. I think it's called Bucket List Open Mic, and everyone that goes, they write their name on a piece of paper and they throw it in a bucket and they draw it. Whenever you get drawn, that's your time to go up and talk. So that'll be fun. I've met a couple really cool comics up there, so I can't wait to meet up with them. I got my one homie that he's got the craziest edibles and he's hyping me up about it, so I'm fucking pumped to get up there and take that shit. Go up on stage baked. It's the funnest shit ever. Man. Yeah. I'm trying out a new set. Each time I've gone up, I've tried to do new material, which I think is a good thing to start with, just because it's hard to know what's funny and what's not. There's been times where I'm like writing shit, I'm like, this is awesome, and then I go up and I'm giving a fucking TED Talk because no one's fucking laughing. So let's hope that today is not a TED Talk. Got a good dinosaur joke that my homie Crew gave to me, so I think that'll be good. I wrote a poem about Bobby Lee. Bobby Lee's a fucking legend. I think that might go decent. And then I got referee jokes, basketball referee jokes. I think I could build a bit off of all 3 of those, so we'll see how I feel with it. We'll see the reaction of the crowd and then keep evolving. It's a blast, man. I love like having these jokes that keep building and evolving, and even when I'm on stage, you know, you'll have it. I like to write shit down word for word, and then when I'm on stage, feel a little bit more loose. And it's cool that sometimes stuff comes out way different than I had written, but it's just much more natural. Yeah. Anyway, let's get into this, man. This is a little bit more serious. As these chapters progress, it's not so much about trauma. It's more about, man, cool shit. I have one about forgiveness. I have one about dreams. I have one about vibration. I have one about soul. So, not necessarily like heavy subjects, but just shit I think is cool. Let's do a quick recap of the first chapter. First chapter, the main things I talked about was the effects of PTSD on the body, and how the effects of the body sometimes get in the way of the soul's true expression of love, and it could be mixed signals and unfortunately kind of hurtful sometimes to people that you really care about, but that's no problem. Once we understand that's what's happening. PTSD is an attack on love, and realizing that attack is just fear, and it's fear that stems all the way back from childhood, stuff that we don't even necessarily remember anymore, then it's not that big of a deal. Okay, cool, man. Let's just hop right into it. Chapter 2. With fear still present, take this moment to relax. Relax all the way down. It feels very good. Enjoy fully the feeling and sensation. It feels like I have pressure points that prevent me from reaching full relaxation. Conscious attention brings alleviation. Notice the relief experienced just by making that observation. Relax. It's almost gone. Why did you tell me I had to change when I faced the fear? Because you were identified with your trauma self. The degree that you face your fear is the degree the trauma self diminishes. Who is the trauma self? The trauma self represents why you are not fully connected to the quantum field. It is a continuous connection of negative thoughts and negative emotions reinforcing each other. This creates a negative electromagnetic field that you have been calling yourself. Okay, cool. So some cool points from that is conscious attention brings alleviation. So I find that when I find myself, tense or anxious or experiencing fear, that it's hard to explain necessarily why, but just allowing it to be without adding any fuel to the fire makes it so it just can't last. Let's see, what else? The trauma self represents why you, I, we are not connected to the quantum field. So, quantum field is above my pay grade. I can't really give you a great definition for it, but when I hear quantum field, I kind of imagine it as, it's kind of like a fish swimming in water doesn't know it's in water. And we're always in this field that we don't know just because we're always in it. But we have this capacity of making connection to higher intelligence and higher creativity. And we're only not making that connection because of blockage and tension. I like the idea. I really like Eastern religion, and they have a lot of cool ideas. And one idea that stems from there is that life is a dream, or it's God dreaming. And I think that's interesting because I actually don't even know where I'm going with that. I'm not even going to get into it. Let's keep going. Oh. Actually, one more thing. I talked about a negative electromagnetic field. So I like to view fear as lower forms of energy, and let's say love and liberation, freedom, and creativity, true creativity, as much higher forms of energy. And so this energy seems in a weird way to attract or bring to you similar things as to itself. And so someone that is trapped in this trauma, I noticed this when I was working at that rehab centers, that really, really good people just, like, it was almost like they couldn't catch a fucking break. They kept running into these difficult situations, and I think I don't know if this is correct, but it was like the trauma and that fear inside of them was bringing it to them in a weird way. But yeah. Okay, moving on. The trauma self cannot survive in your conscious attention. It may have quite some momentum, so you must practice bringing your attention back to it repeatedly. This is called meditation. Meditation is bringing constant attention to my trauma self? Yes. In other words, bringing awareness to fear dispels it as frightening and elevates the frequency of that energy. What does elevating the frequency of that energy mean? The trauma self can only exist as a secret. Once the body makes the connection that awareness of the fear brings healing, it won't stop until it is completely gone. At this point, your meditation is constant and effortless. Your body, mind, and soul are integrated, and you are now fully connected to the quantum field. So the trauma self can only exist as a secret. I think that's helpful to acknowledge, because trauma exists when you try to hide it under a rug and you try to turn your back to it. Obviously it's making its noise and it's causing its effects, but we try to avoid it. And that avoidance is what can allow that trauma, your trauma self, to exist. So as soon as you acknowledge it and you, in a sense, face it, then your body experiences relief and that healing. And the body is so intelligent. I'm a true believer of that. So once it gets a taste of this healing, you don't necessarily need to I need to bring my attention back to it. Your body kind of starts doing it on its own. And I think maybe that's what Alan Watts, he's one of my favorites that talks about meditation. He talks about, you don't do meditation, meditation does you. And I think maybe that's what he means, is this process of healing that your body is undergoing. That you don't that maybe you need to initiate, but you don't need to keep it going. Which is a huge, huge relief. Okay. What is the significance of the quantum field? The quantum field connects man to the source of all power, creativity, and intelligence. Man today has only dipped his pinky toe in an ocean of creative potentialities. How do I activate infinite creativity and intelligence? That is my function in our relationship, to teach you these things. A vibration can now be felt and a humming can be heard with your inner ear. Please confirm this. Yes. This is nothing to be feared. A shift in consciousness requires a great deal of energy. You are doing great. Once fear is fully recognized as all bark and no bite, your karma or action is now your own doing. From another perspective, you are now capable of receiving higher forms of inspiration. This higher form of inspiration is magnetized to your electromagnetic field, your new electromagnetic field. The will of the higher inspiration matches your own will in the most intimate and profound way. The trauma self knows nothing about this connection. This is what Christ meant when he said resurrection. With your true will, you are free to be your true self. We are here to help you navigate this new being and doing. Okay, cool. Okay, so going back to electromagnetic field that we perhaps have, either within us or around us, and relating that to law of attraction. So once this shift begins to happen, once you start to realize, oh, maybe I do have these erroneous beliefs that are holding me back or causing situations that I am not satisfied with, and that starts to be transformed and it's being raised, now you have different thoughts, and these thoughts come to you in a way that feels very personal, and it does have a sense of intimacy and profoundness to it, because it feels like, oh, that would be perfect. I didn't even think about that. I would never have thought about that if I was still in my trauma self. Yeah. I think my interpretation of what Christ meant when he said resurrection is this. It's almost like a rebirth. It's not necessarily when you die and then be reborn again. It's right now in this life. Yeah. Okay, so that was that chapter. And let's now go into a fearless vision. Okay. With your new knowledge, you will sense a stronger stream of consciousness. It is natural that new desires and goals arise as a result. Trauma self is too hypnotized by its woes to accomplish noble causes. The true self is aligned with ambitions the world desperately needs. How can I align with my true self's ambition? When we say ambition, we mean direction. The true self goes in its true direction. Alignment means acting in accord and moving downstream of that direction. Do not worry if your goals or direction is correct. Construct your vision. Be fearless. If your vision is true, you will experience the manifestations. Interpret these manifestations as omens that your vision is true. Okay, cool. I think it's helpful to emphasize that instead of telling somebody to change and they need to do better, it's more helpful to tell them to align with their true self and to get a taste of that, and then to move downstream and in accord of the direction of the true self, if that makes sense. I think that's more helpful, because then you kind of get on a roll and you're not so worried about planning everything perfectly. It's kind of like things start to happen easier and things start flowing and opportunities start to arise. Okay, let's move on. A fearless vision will be strongly opposed. You must develop courage that perhaps the world has never witnessed. It's true, bro. How do I construct a fearless vision? You must be visited by us. You must transform your consciousness. Open your mind and open your heart, and we will be given. Who are you? We represent your thought forms in higher dimensions of consciousness and can process information with clarity and precision not available to you. Okay, so I know that might be a little bit wacky, but a fearless vision cannot be constructed under the trauma self. You don't need to have, I don't know what you need to have, but my experience with this is that you need to have an experience of what trauma self feels like and what true self feels like. And if you're so stuck in your trauma self, you might not know the difference. And so being guided by your higher self or your inner being is necessary. And I don't exactly know even what I mean when I say higher self or truer or inner being, but I kind of had this thought, and I think it makes sense to me. Thought forms in higher dimensions of consciousness. So, kind of the idea that we're all connected. The thoughts that we have are not necessarily our own, and our soul exists in simultaneous realities, not just inside of your flesh and bones, and that your soul can actually communicate to yourself from a place that is more clear and more concise and can give you guidance. Okay, moving on. A fearless vision means you feel no fear in it. It is presented as a grace for you to fully experience all of its blessings. Humans can offer no higher inspiration to each other than this, moving fearlessly in your vision. What does it mean to be fully integrated? It is when body, mind, and soul fully support your fearless vision. The body has been plagued with PTSD and must recover fully. Exercise is a phenomenal way to silence the mind and raise energy levels. The body should be used in a loving and gracious way as you move in your vision. If the mind has a belief system, it should be shattered. All belief systems are rooted in a conditioning based in fear. The mind should not believe in your vision. It should be aligned with it. Aligning your mind with your vision means tuning your mind to the field in order to receive all inspiration and guidance available. Okay, man. So, I think I could totally be wrong, but belief systems seem to come from conditioning. And it's not... Belief systems seem to get in the way of your direct intuition about your own choices and following your own heart and walking your own path. You don't need a belief system to do those things, I believe. They kind of cloud your mind. Your mind should be used like as a tool to tune into the quantum field and to be receptive of inspiration and guidance. Yeah. Your soul will know your vision by its overwhelming love for it. Your soul knows the guaranteedness of your vision and can rest fully and freely in the present moment. Okay. Yeah, so when I say fearless vision, I don't mean like, like a warrior is fearless and they don't give a fuck. They'll do whatever they need to do. I mean literally not feeling fear in it. It's ambitious and it's exciting, but you don't feel fear in it because there's this feeling of almost recognition and love. I believe the soul continues after death. It existed before. So it came into Earth not necessarily with a preconceived exact plan, but with interests and skills and talent and gifts that want to be expressed. And yeah. And once you do know that, there is this sense of relaxation into the present moment. You don't need to worry so much about the future. You don't need to plan it out perfectly. You have trust in your vision. Okay, moving on. When you feel controlled excitement coupled with a deep peace and contentment, we are with you, and your vision is becoming brighter and brighter. Okay, that was the last one. Controlled excitement coupled with deep peace and contentment. That's the formula, bro. I'm telling you right now. Okay, so that'll cover what I want to talk about today. I fucking love doing this. I love that I can go up on a stage and try and do stand-up, and I know how competitive, blah, 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 it takes time, blah, blah, blah. But I just feel so good about that, and I love talking about this shit too. This feels like my fearless vision. I hope you guys have yours as well. Next episode is going to be a fucking great one. It's about psilocybin mushrooms. And yeah, I talked about this last episode, this really strong experience that I had of basically a breakdown and a breakthrough. So that'll be exciting. If you guys are watching, thank you. You're the shit. Yeah, peace.